Zero conditional. This conditional is used to talk about universal truths or general habits, things that are generally always true or habits that happen regularly. The zero conditional is formed with if plus present simple followed by the present simple again. Now, let's see this in action with sentences related to clinical research. Take the sentence. If the temperature exceeds the specified range during storage, the drug's stability may be compromised. In this case, if the temperature exceeds and the drug's stability may be compromised are both in the present simple tense. This sentence is describing a general truth about the drug storage process. If the temperature goes too high or too low, it can affect the drug stability. Let's take a look at another example. If the patient meets all the eligibility criteria, they are considered for enrollment in the clinical trial. Here, if the patient meets all eligibility criteria and they are considered for enrollment are both in the present simple tense. This tense is describing a standard practice in clinical trials. If a patient meets the criteria, they can join the trials. Alright, now let's have a look at more examples. This time you need to think and then complete the sentences. It would be better to have a piece of paper so you could write your answers. Then you'll hear the correct sentence. Alright, look at this sentence. Alright, and the correct one. If you expose cells to this drug, they die immediately. Another example. If a patient shows adverse reactions, we stop the treatment immediately. Alright, one more. The machine doesn't work if you do not calibrate it correctly. So that's the zero conditional. It's a great tool for talking about universal truths or general habits. Alright, that's all now about zero conditionals. Let's move on to the next, first conditional. Alright, now let's talk about first conditional. This conditional is used when we want to talk about real and possible situations in the future. The first conditional is formed with if plus present simple followed by will plus the base form of the verb. Let's see this in action with some examples related to clinical research. Take a look at this sentence. If we don't receive regulatory approval on time, the start of the clinical trial will be delayed. Here, if we don't receive regulatory approval on time is in the present simple tense and the start of the clinical trial will be delayed uses will plus the base form of the verb. This sentence is planning for a possible future outcome, a delay in the trial if the approval doesn't come on time. Now, let's move on and practice a little bit with more examples. Look at the sentence, think how would you complete it. You can also write it down on the piece of paper. You may pause the recording if needed and then check yourself. If we complete the study on time, we will publish the results in the top journal. Great. Next one. If you do not sign the confidentiality agreement, you cannot participate in the clinical trial. Right, one more example. The board will approve the new protocol if it meets all ethical guidelines. So, there you have it, the first conditional. It's a great tool for talking about real and possible situations in the future. Alright, second conditional. This conditional is used to talk about unlikely or hypothetical situations in the present or future. The second conditional is formed with if plus past simple followed by would plus base form of the verb. Let's take a look at how this works with sentences related to clinical research. Consider the sentence. If we increase the sample size, we would improve the statistical power of the study. Here, if we increase the sample size is in the past simple tense and we would improve the statistical power of the study uses would plus base form of the verb. This sentence is discussing a hypothetical situation, increasing the sample size to improve the study's statistical power. Now, let's look at another example. If a more efficient recruitment strategy were implemented, we might accelerate participant enrollment. In this case, if a more efficient recruitment strategy were implemented is in the past simple tense and we might accelerate participant enrollment uses might plus base form of the verb. This sentence is discussing a potential improvement, speeding up enrollment by implementing a more efficient recruitment strategy. Now, let's have a look at more examples, and this time you would need to work a little bit. Look at the sentence and think, how would you complete it? Alright, and the correct one. If we had more findings, we could conduct larger scale clinical trials. Next one. The drug would be approved by now if the results were not consistent. Okay, another one. Unless you were a trained clinician, you would not understand these complex medical terms. Well, good job on that. Sometimes your answers may vary. Instead of could, you may use might or would. So it doesn't cause confusions. So the second conditional is a great tool for talking about unlikely or hypothetical situations. And moving on to next task. Now let's talk about third conditional. This conditional is used to talk about unreal or hypothetical situations in the past. Sometimes something that didn't happen or was not the case. The third conditional is formed with if plus past perfect followed by would have plus past participle of the verb. Now let's see this in action with sentences related to clinical research. Consider the sentence. If we had conducted additional preclinical studies, we would have identified the potential toxicity earlier. Here, if we have conducted additional preclinical studies is in the past perfect tense and we would have identified the potential toxicity earlier uses would have plus past participle of the verb. This sentence is discussing a hypothetical situation. What could have happened differently to identify potential toxicity earlier, right? Next, let's look at another example. If the trial protocol had been modified to include longer follow-up, we could have captured more long-term safety data. In this case, if the trial protocol had been modified to include longer follow-up, is in past perfect tense and we would have captured more long-term safety data, use could have plus past participle of the verb. This sentence is discussing what could have been done differently to capture more safety data. Alright, now let's take a look at the sentences and let's practice a little bit more. This time you would need to think how would you complete this sentence. Then you'll hear the correct one and you can check yourself. So think a bit. If the patient had signed the consent form, we would have included him in the study. Right, another example. We would have submitted the paper earlier if we have completed the analysis on time. Good. And last example. If we had used a larger sample size, the results would have been more accurate. So, there you have it, the set conditionals. It's a useful tool for discussing hypothetical situations in the past or things that could have been done differently. So we covered all four types of conditionals, and there is a little more steps where we'll talk about mixed conditionals. Alright, finally, mixed conditionals. These are used when we want to talk about hypothetical or unreal situations that are connected to the present or future. Mixed conditionals can combine a past unreal condition with a present or future result, or combine a hypothetical situation in the present with a past unreal result. Now let's see this in action with sentences related to clinical research. Take a look at this sentence. If we had started the trial earlier, we would be closer to obtaining the results now. This sentence combines the past unreal condition, if we had started the trial earlier, with the present result. We would be closer to obtaining the result by now. Let's look at another example. If we had received additional funding, we would be able to expand the trial to include a larger patient population. Here we again combine a past unreal condition, if we had received additional funding, with a present or future result, we would be able to expand the trial. Now consider, if the inclusion criteria were less strict, we would have enrolled a more diverse patient population. This sentence combines a hypothetical situation in the present, if the inclusion criteria were less strict, with a past unreal result. We would have enrolled a more diverse patient population. Finally, let's see the example. If the trial protocol allowed for longer follow-up, we would have gathered more comprehensive safety data. This sentence combines a hypothetical situation in the present. If the trial protocol allowed for longer follow-up with a past unreal result, we would have gathered more comprehensive safety data. And let's look at the sentences again and think how we can apply what we've just talked about. Right, look at the sentence. It might be not easy, but you can do it. Alright, and the correct one. If we had had more funding, we could hire more research staff. Another one. If the patient hadn't forgotten to take this medicine, he wouldn't feel so sick now. Another example. We would use the new equipment if it had arrived on time. Right, and one more example, and this is the last one. If I had known you were coming, I would prepare the laboratory for you. Alright, that's all for now. Congratulations, you did a really amazing job. Now, if you need to review the video, all the information that we covered about conditionals, you can do it, and I would encourage you to do so. There you have it, mixed conditionals. They're a powerful tool for discussing hypothetical or unreal situations connecting to the present or future.